Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I want to let you know about our 2022 Champions t-shirts now available on AppalachianOutlaws.shop. This is the first time you're able to get this product online this year. Use code OUTLAWS for 10% off at the checkout. Enjoy today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the Run What You Brung super modified trucks from the Beast of the East Truck and Tractor Pools in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. This is a great class full of blower trucks, diesel trucks, two-wheel drive trucks, you name it. They are battling it out today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and get ready for a jam-packed episode. And what a matchup that we have this evening. This is a class full of champions here. Just about every truck you see on your screen here right now has won a points championship, whether that be with Appalachian Outlaws, Full Pool Productions, Interstate, East Coast, you name it. One of these trucks has done it here. So gonna be a great lineup and a great show here tonight for you. And we're gonna be kicking things off with James Barter, the Barter Turbo Service sponsored machine. Let's see what he can do here. And he's going to end up keeping that distance, 338.67, and the sled is set. What a run for the first truck down the track here tonight, and I'd say he made a really good choice keeping that distance because that's going to be a tough one to beat. And next up on the track is going to be our 2022 points champion. This is Jerry Berghoff with the Attitude Adjuster Reloaded truck, coming all the way from West Alexander, Pennsylvania here tonight to put on a show for the fans and try to get to that #1 spot yet again. So let's see what he can do. This is the Attitude Adjuster Reloaded, Jerry Berghoff. And we'll take a look at your replay here. 334.45, going to be about 4 feet shy of taking over the #1 spot here tonight. He creeped into the throttle there, gave it all she had by a couple truck lengths, and just did not have quite enough. But next up's going to be another diesel truck, Tom Hassler, the Hassler Diesel Performance truck here from Bethel, Pennsylvania. More of a local truck to Lebanon compared to some of his competitors here tonight. Has a little bit of experience here on the track. He's also a sponsor of Lebanon Beast of the East Pools. So he has a lot of experience on this surface. Let's see if it pays off for him here tonight. And he's going to be right in the mix as well. 331.2 going to be the final distance for him. Got in it really quick there and had a little bit of tire spin on the takeoff. That could have been the difference maker here. Ran a very similar line to the other two trucks so far. A great run. And next up is going to be your current East Coast Pro Poolers points leader. This is Norm Newswanger with the Chapter 11 truck. He's been all over the country the past couple years competing against the best pro stock diesels in the country. So he's here at Lebanon here tonight to put on a show. The distance to beat, 338.67 for him. So let's see what the Chapter 11 truck can do here. Norm Newswanger making sure that chain's tight, and here he goes. And man, he was on his way to a picture-perfect run, but had a little bit of bounce there at the beginning of the track. So that might have been the difference maker there, but he's up there. 335.86, going to be the final distance for him. Just 3 feet away from taking over the lead. So that little bit of tire hop there might have been what stopped him. And here he is, the only two-wheel drive truck in the class here tonight. This is Kevin Landis with the PA Ridge Runner. Last year, he was on his way to his first ever points championship with the Appalachian Outlaws. Had a little bit of a disaster at the finals, but he redeemed himself this year. He got the first win of the season at Listy Grove last month, and he is looking to get his second win of the year here at Lebanon tonight. So let's see what he can do here. The PA Ridge Runner gonna tighten that chain and take off here. And man, he just never got a hold of that track. Never had that nice wheelie going for him to get down there with a lot of speed and momentum. Gonna stop him at 323.52. A good looking run for him, but you can just tell by the distance he had no traction. But still a great run. And next up's going to be Brad Berghoff with the Attitude Adjuster 2 truck. This truck's been through a lot of different variations over the years, but man, do they have this truck fine-tuned now. One of the top running trucks every time he shows up to an Appalachian Outlaws event. So looking for that #1 spot here tonight. His dad couldn't do it. He's going to try to redeem the Berghoff team, get that #1 spot. Let's see what he can do. And man, oh man, he's up there. 337.34, going to be about 1 foot shy of taking over that #1 spot. But he had such a smooth run down the track. Straight like an arrow down through there. Going to bump up right against that leader cone, but not quite enough. And with one truck left in the class, the top 5 is split between 5 feet of each other. And it's really interesting to see that because you have the diesel trucks, the blower trucks, the two-wheel drive. They all have to set their truck up differently and drive differently to be able to perform on this kind of pulling surface. So to have them stacked in there as competitive as they are, really interesting to see. But here he is. This is Jeremy Denson with the 2 Disturbed truck, a top running truck on the East Coast Pro Poolers circuit. Let's see if he can take that #1 spot away from James Barter. Here he goes, 2 Disturbed. And we'll take a look at your replay here. He had a very similar driving style to the other diesel trucks in this class, but by the end of his run, you could just tell there was no traction in the front end of that truck. Left him at 318.36. Gonna be the final distance for him and good enough to get right there in the pack. But nonetheless, a great showcase by these super modified Run What You Brung trucks. Here's your winning run. Once again, James Barter from Elizabethville with the 2017 Ford F-250 Barter Turbo Service. And what a great showcase of these trucks here tonight. James Barter goes away with the win and takes his first ever Appalachian Outlaws victory here tonight. Brad Berghoff close behind him at 337.34. Norm Newswanger 335.86. That's going to round out your top three here tonight. And on next week's episode, we have these small block and big block high output four-wheel drive trucks battling it out at Lebanon Beast of the East. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Appalachian Outlaws Pooling Series. Today we have the big block high output and small block high output trucks battling it out here at the Beast of the East Truck and Tractor Pools. But before we go anywhere, we want to let you know about our championship finals event September 23rd in Myersdale, Pennsylvania at the Somerset County Fairgrounds. We have the Appalachian Outlaws Pooling Series Championship Finals going down at 5 o'clock p.m. We have the super modified trucks as our featured class that evening. Gonna be a great show, and all proceeds go to UPMC Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to go on over to our website, AppalachianOutlawsPooling.com, for more information on that. But we're going to be kicking things off here tonight with Kim Freed, the Frogtown favorite. A good-looking early 2000s Dodge there. Small block power. Here we go. And spin it out hard there at the end. Now, we actually got about halfway through this class and then a rainstorm occurred. The track officials determined it was best to restart the entire class. So Kim Freed goes down the track on a green track, and I think he decided, you know what, I think the track's going to get a little bit better if I come back and pull at the end. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to drop that hook and come back. Now, that is a huge gamble to make, because he might have just had the best track of the night. The track crew worked that track, rolled it in tight. So just a huge gamble he's going to make. But that brings up our second puller, Mackenzie Thomas, good-looking square body Chevy. Here we go. So we'll take a look at the replay here, 271.32. That's going to be the first official distance here in tonight's small block high output four-wheel drive class. 440 cubic inch motors, 1 ton driveline. They have to stay on a 35 by 12.5 DOT approved tire. So these trucks are putting out a bunch of horsepower. They got to lock it down on that DOT tire though. 271.32, going to be the distance to beat. And next up is going to be Brandon Struble from Snowshoe, Pennsylvania, a 1997 Ford he calls Mutiny. Here he goes. That's going to be a good run right there. 3:13.89. He got in it fast, was spinning a ton of tire, ton of RPM down the track. One of the top running points trucks in the division, gonna take over the #1 spot. 3:13.89. And next up's going to be another points puller here, Jim Matthews from Jones Mills, Pennsylvania, a 1989 Dodge he calls plumb crazy. He's going to be spinning out there at the end. We'll wait for his distance. 297.51 going to be the final distance for him here tonight. They're still battling some engine troubles with that truck. Been trying to work things out week by week, but I'd say the truck ran a little bit better. Got him up there in the top 3 so far.
That man thinks we land every single time. His style of driving is not the norm of today's Poland, where you ease out a whole slip of clutch. He just gets that RCF up where he knows it makes power, and he lets her eat.
Coming on the track now, this is Jim Basinger from Acme, Pennsylvania, a 1985 Chevy K30. Let's see what he can do here, a top running truck in the class. This is High Noon. And man, he got in it right away, was just spinning a ton of tire there, running a ton of RPM, but never got the traction he needed to go the distance. 295.75 going to be the final distance for him there. Just did not get a ton of traction to go down and get to that final leading distance. 3:13.89 still the mark to beat. And next up is going to be your points leader, Jason Garris. A 1970 Chevy. Let's see if he can do it here.
For many years, and I tell you, he knows how to get it done. That's why he is the points leader.
And he's going to get it up there. 3:08.22 going to be the distance for him. It seemed like he had a little bit of fumble on the line there. Wasn't sure how the truck was going to react on the takeoff. So that might have hurt his distance at the end, but a good run. Going to be good enough for second place. And if you pay attention, you'll see a bunch of different driving styles in this class depending on the gearing and the horsepower these trucks are making. Some guys will slip the clutch out, ease into the throttle, have a nice smooth takeoff. Other guys will get the RPMs built and just give it the beans right away. So you'll see a bunch of that in this class here. But Jason finished off strong. He's now in the #2 spot. So we'll see if it holds. And next up is going to be a top running truck in the division this year. This is Brett Kalanovich. He calls this truck Money for Nothing, a 1979 GMC from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Let's see if he can take over the #1 spot here. Here he goes. Oh man, and he's right there. 3:10.04, gonna just edge out the points leader by 2 feet, but he's still about 3 feet away from the leader position right now. Brandon Struble still holding on strong to that 3:13.89 distance, but a good run put down by Brett Kalanovich. You see him rolling his window down here, and he's got to be happy with that distance. One of the best runs he's put up all year so far. Let's see if he sticks to that #2 spot.
mark on every truck.
And next up, this is Josh Sarver with the Coal Crusher, a Freedom's, Pennsylvania native 1984 Chevy. Here he goes. And he gave it all she had, sucking out of power at the end. It seemed like he got in it really fast, had a ton of RPM off the line. It held strong through the pool, and towards the end, he just ran out of power. 301.42. Let's take a look at it again. This is a guy that's constantly working on this truck, making improvements. He started out in the street class years ago, jumped up to high output, and now he's a tough running truck in this class. Got to be happy with that distance, going to be in the top 5. And next up, this is Brian Struble from Clarence, Pennsylvania, 1994 Ford. Let's see if he can beat his brother here. Distance to beat, 313.89. And he's going to do it. He's going to do it by just about a couple inches. 314.01. The distance was held by his brother Brandon at 313.89. So just separated by a couple inches. You would think by watching the takeoff he wasn't going to do as good as he did. But man, he recovered great, had a ton of track speed, got it up there where he needed to. With one puller left in the class, he might have just done it. But if anybody's got anything to say about it, it's this guy right here, Kim Freed with the Frogtown Favorite, rounding out the small block high output class. And spinning out hard at the end, 308.09. Gonna be the final distance for him, and we're gonna take a look back at your winner. This is Brian Struble, a 1994 Ford from Clarence, Pennsylvania, getting his first ever Appalachian Outlaws win. Here we go.
Right there with all that hopping. Say every hop takes about 5-10 foot off the pole, but he proved that to be more.
And here's your final results for the small block high output class. Brian Struble wins the pole, 314.01. Brandon Struble, 313.89. Brett Kalanovich rounds out the top 3 with 310.04. What a run by all of these trucks, getting up there and making it super competitive. A great class of trucks. All season long, the big block high output class has been competitive as ever. Right now, the top 5 trucks is separated by just a handful of feet. It is super competitive, and they're here at Lebanon tonight to battle it out. Can Gary Chambers with the Bandit keep the #1 spot, or can one of these other guys get up in front? It's a battle of inches. Let's see who comes out on top. And kicking off the big block high output class is going to be Luke Smeltzer, a 1974 Ford from Myerstown. Here he goes. And you know what? He didn't like that run enough. He's going to come back at the end of the class. Going to be a hook drop here to kick off the big block high output class. Now, the difference between the small blocks and the big blocks obviously run big block engines, and they are unlimited cubic inch. So you're going to see a lot of horsepower in this class. They can run any cubic inch motor as long as they have a single naturally aspirated carburetor. And we're going to see what they can do here. But kicking things off and setting the mark, the beat's going to be a small block truck. This is Kim Freed coming back with the Frogtown favorite. Let's see what he does.
I say Mr. Kim Freed came back out to play with the big block boys with a big block sled setting.
And he's going to set the distance to beat at 291.34. A good run for a small block powered truck, but we're going to be getting into one of the top running big block trucks in the class right now. This is actually the number 2 truck in the class. This is Judgment Day, driven by Matt Mosier, a 1979 Ford, and he's had a great season so far. Let's see if he can keep it up. And spinning out hard at the end, a picture-perfect run put down by Judgment Day. 312.75 gonna be the mark to beat now. And that truck just sounds super healthy coming down there, running a straight line down the track, straight as an arrow. Is it gonna be enough though? And here he is. This is Jeremiah Fake. And giving it all she had. The 1969 Chevy. We'll give him a replay here and look at his distance, 295.62. Here he is. This is your number 1 truck in the division right now, Gary Chambers. He had a huge monster pass at Fishersville last weekend, as we're looking at right now. Got out there and put about 30 feet on the pack. Matt Mosier was right behind him, but as far as the rest of the class goes, he got a ton of distance out there. Really solidified that number 1 spot in the points. So let's see what he does here tonight, coming out on the track here. A 1973 Ford representing the state of Ohio here tonight. The only Ohio truck in the class. So let's see what he can do here. Mark the beat, 312.75. And he's right there, 313.95, just going to edge out Matt Mosier that was sitting at 312.75. Gonna be your new leader in the class. And man, was that truck just screaming down the track there. A good run put out by the Bandit. Gary Chambers behind the wheel. And so far, so good for holding on to that points lead as he edges out the number 2 truck. He's got to be feeling pretty good about that. But next up's another tough truck here. This is Carl Barnhart from Needmore, Pennsylvania. He calls this truck Midlife Crisis, a 1970 Ford. He's been on a roll ever since Weekland, so let's see if his momentum stays and he can take over the number 1 spot.
Right now we got Carl Barnhart in the big block at Needmore, Pennsylvania, in a 1970 Ford. They had some motor problems and issues last year. They got them ironed it out. They're doing really good this year.
And he gets it out there, but not quite far enough. 310.33 going to be good enough for number 3 in the class so far, but just about 3 feet away from the leader.
And he is sitting fifth in the points right now. And with a run like that, that might get him a couple more bonus spots.
And here he is. This is Jason Barron from Somerset, Pennsylvania. A 1979 Chevy he calls the Flying Farmer. A top running truck in the division here. Let's see if the Chevy can get out in front and give these Ford guys a run for their money. And a great run put down, gonna be good enough for the number 3 spot in the class, 310.55. And they are stacking in there right now. The top trucks right now are within 3 feet of each other. So a great run by the Flying Farmer. And next up, here he is, a fan favorite. This is William Campbell from Churchville, Virginia. 1976 Ford F-250 he calls the Scalded Dog. And this truck has come a long way over the past couple years. William and his family always putting a lot of work into this truck, making some upgrades, and they are just getting closer and closer to taking over that number 1 spot at one of these pools. Been in the top 4 many, many times so far in 2023. So let's see if tonight's his night. This is the Scalded Dog, William Campbell behind the wheel. Here he goes.
I tell you, this truck can't do it.
Switch him over here instead of that side.
Super mod, run with your broad class. So please make your way to the scale to run with your broad class to the scale.
He's there. Did he do it? Not quite enough. 312.56 gonna be good enough for the number 3 spot right now. About 2 inches away from taking out Matt Mosier in that number 2 spot. The leader's just about a foot and 4 inches away. So this has became a game of feet here. Just one little mistake or one great decision could put you in that number 1 spot right now. Now, you want to talk about another truck that's just been getting better and better each trip down the track. Here it is. This is Blue Past You, driven by Tracy Troy, a 1993 Chevy from Rector, Pennsylvania. The chain is tight. Let's see what she can do here. Distance to beat, 313.95. And there's another truck right up in the mix, 308.41, gonna be about 5 feet shy of the leader, but right up in the top 5 right now. A great run put down by her, but just not quite enough. And like we just said, just a little bit of an error or a great decision made can determine your placing here tonight. These trucks are just so competitive. It's anybody's game at any time. It's just who gets enough things right to do it. Now here's another top running truck in the class, the number 3 truck in the Appalachian Outlaws pulling series so far this season. Ronnie Unger behind the wheel of the Undertaker here tonight. 1985 Chevy from Mount Pleasant. Let's see what he can do here. Oh man, and he is right there. Did he do it? Had a different tire combination on the front, and it's going to be good enough to take over the #1 spot. 3:15.37, put less than 2 feet on Gary Chambers to take over that #1 spot, and a great run put down by the Undertaker there. Still a lot of good trucks left in the class, but going to be good enough for #1 so far. Here's Brent Shuey, 1977 Ford from Lebanon. He's here in his hometown here tonight. A great guy and a great running truck. Let's see if he can take over the lead. And a good run for him, 282.34, gonna be the distance. You can't talk about Eastern Pennsylvania truck pulling without talking about this guy right here. This is Robert Markey Jr. with the Devastation truck, a 1971 Chevy, a former Snyder County Tractor Pullers champion. A tough truck to beat, and let's see what he can do here. The track is cleared. He's getting ready to roll out here. Distance to beat is now at 3:15.37. Here he goes.
Stop by the announcer's booth to pick up your awards.
And not a bad run for him, 3:08.94, so gonna get him right up in the pack there, just about 7 feet away from the leader. But these trucks are stacked in here so close right now. He's gonna be about 8th place so far in the class. Here's another top-running Eastern Pennsylvania truck. This is the Sled Wrecker, driven by Mike Barr, a 1987 Chevy, and man, he has gotten so close to winning a pull this season, but has yet to do it on the Appalachian Outlaws circuit. So let's see if tonight's the night for him. Man, and he gave that truck all she had. He drove it really good off the line, had a nice smooth takeoff, gradually got into the throttle, got it up there at 3:13.16, gonna be good enough for #3 tonight. So a top running truck, and man, he is just kicking on the door of the leader every single pull. He's eventually gonna get it. But here's your last puller of the class, Luke Smeltzer, first puller that came back. Let's see what he does. And a great run put down by him, 284.23, gonna be an awesome pull. And here's your winning run, the Undertaker taking home the win here tonight at Lebanon, 3:15.37, gonna be the distance. Here we go. So the Undertaker pulling team gonna take home the win tonight with the 1985 Chevy. Gary Chambers, 313.95, gonna come in second place. Mike Barr, 313.16, gonna round out the top three. But man, you look at the results here tonight. The top 10 trucks are within 10 feet of each other. A great performance here tonight by everybody involved. We really appreciate you watching here tonight, guys. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we are going to be back next week with some more truck and tractor pulling action.